Greetings, Hotshot. My name is Jonathan Paula, and welcome back to the Movie Night channel. Here tonight to talk about box office, specifically my predictions and how I did with the summer 2024 movie season. Last time we spoke in April of this year, I laid out my top 10 predictions for the summer season, Memorial Day to Labor Day. I even threw in 3 wild cards as well just to cover my bases. And of those 10 picks, I am very proud to say I'm going to pat myself on the back, got 9 out of 10. There was one big miss, but I take some solace in knowing that of the other 91 people that participated in the Summer Sum Challenge on siftpop.com, nobody else got that 10th pick either. So I did miss, but so did everybody, so I don't feel too bad about it. First, let's take a dive into my predictions. And here's a look at my top 10. I predicted Deadpool and Wolverine would win the summer with $380 million. I thought Inside Out would come just behind it in the silver medal spot with $360. I thought Despicable Me, Twisters, and Bad Boys would go 3, 4, 5. Quiet Place, Furiosa, Fall Guy, I knew those would mix it up in the bottom 5. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and If, I thought would be close to the bottom, but I did have a feeling they'd make it in the chart. And then for my wild cards, here's where I had some big misses. Harold and the Purple Crayon and Horizon and American Saga, both of those, thankfully I didn't put in my top 10 proper, but just giving them honorable mention status here, that was definitely a miss, and I will own that mistake because both of those absolutely cratered. Horizon, so much so, in fact, the second follow-up, the sequel that I was, trumpeting so excitedly on the show last time we spoke, it didn't even get released. The first installment bombed so badly, they just pulled the second from theaters. I thought it was going to be a big, brave, bold move, and they chickened out because the first didn't do well. And then I also had the Garfield movie right there with $90 million, and we'll talk about why that's important, I guess, right away. Anyway, let's take a look at Box Office Mojo's chart for domestic box office for summer 2024. And here you can see the actual top 10 and the actual cumes for each of those top 12, and then Longlegs down here at 13. So tabbing back over to my predictions alongside the actual, you can see how well I did, and in some cases, eerily well. And again, I'm going to take the victory lap. I'm pretty proud of this chart. At the end of the last video, I mentioned I could have done dog shit, but I had a very strong suspicion that I would get at least 8 or 9 out of 10 because these 10 movies felt pretty safe as the top 10. I didn't know what position or how much, but 10 in some order felt like these 10, and I was really close. This is what I think could happen, and I absolutely believe I could be very correct. I could go for 10, but I'm also very aware that I could go, I don't want to say 0 for 10, because of these 10 movies, I feel like 8 or 9 of them are absolutely going to be in the top 10. It's just, what's the order going to be? Like last year, I thought Barbie would be a top 10 movie. I thought it would be 9th, and it was first. So there's always the possibility for an absolutely wild run that we don't see. There's also the possibility a film like The Sound of Freedom that no one had even thought of or looked at shoots up the chart and does huge numbers completely out of nowhere. So let's go from the bottom up. Again, Horizon, I thought it would make 80 million. You got to go down a little bit. That only made 29 million. Harold and the Purple Crayon only made 17 million. 2 big misses. We're just going to go ahead and highlight those with the salmon red. Those were misses. I did not get them. But Garfield, 90 million? It ended up with 92 million. That is basically a hole-in-one. Proud of myself with that. So I'm going to go ahead and let's just do that. Let's give that a dark green. That's good. I like that. I had If in 10th. It actually ended up in 9th place. But look again at the totals. I was off by $1 million. Someone should give me a job on TV. Is there a job on TV for this? I don't know. Again, that is a light green. I got it correct, but not in the right spot. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I thought it would make around 130. It did a little better than I expected for, the 9th entry in the saga. Again, light green, it's on the chart, but not in the right spot. The Fall Guy, I had this in 8th. It actually did not do quite as well as I was hoping. That got 93 million for 10th place. And then my lone miss was Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. I had it in 7th place with 165 million, which I felt was a safe bet for a film we all really loved with Mad Max Fury Road 9 years ago. But yeah, it didn't really pull in the money we thought it would. Only 67 million down in 14th place. So that is the only film that I objectively, within the top 10, completely whiffed on. That was just a swing and a miss. Quiet Place, I thought it would make around 185. It didn't do quite that well, but I was only off by 1 spot, so again, not bad. Bad Boys, Twisters, Despicable Me, 3, 4, 5, I got them right on the money, and my Twisters prediction of 250 million is really close to the 260 it made, and Despicable Me, I was only off by 20 million there as well. In fact, all three of these totals, not only did I get them in the right spots, I got them really close to their actual final totals. Inside Out and Deadpool and Wolverine, those went 1 and 2, but not in the order I had predicted. They went 2 and 1 instead. And here's where I really, absolutely did not see the potential ceiling for the summer season. At the beginning of the year, it felt like we were in a depressed cinematic turnout. And people would go to the movies, but not in big numbers like Barbenheimer in 2023. I am so glad to have been proven very wrong on that point, because Inside Out made 650 and climbing domestic. That is good for the 8th best total all time, $1.67 billion. Way to go, Pixar. That is an absolute home run. Far exceeded my, admittedly, tempered expectations. I thought 360 was, pretty bullish, but it far exceeded what I thought it would do. And Deadpool and Wolverine, kind of the same story. I knew it would do really well. I expected it to win the summer. It didn't, but it put up a really good fight. $604 million as of Labor Day, and I think as of taping on September 16th. So 2 weeks after Labor Day, it's put up another 15 or 16 million. I don't think it's going to catch Inside Out, at least not domestically, but or worldwide for that matter. But it's going to get really close. And to see two movies really go 1-2 with that such a high total. I mean, you got to look at the difference in totals between second place and third place. Like, there's a difference there of over 250. That's $250 million separating silver from bronze. So definitely really want to give props to those two franchises. I have unfortunately not yet seen Inside Out 2. I am waiting to watch it with my family, and we haven't quite had the chance yet. I have seen Deadpool and Wolverine, and I did a big review of the entire Deadpool trilogy over on my Jogwheel channel back when that film came out in, late July? I don't know. Go watch it. Links, as always, are in the description. So the other one we haven't talked about yet, and the one I missed because Furiosa wasn't there, what was in its place was the romantic trauma film It Ends With Us, starring Blake Lively. I did get a chance to see this with my wife, and I really enjoyed it, genuinely speaking. I know there's some controversy in how it handles domestic abuse and the press tour and all the, gossip surrounding it, but the movie itself is solid and such a surprise. $136 million. I did not see a movie I had never heard of or even had on my radar beating out Garfield or Alien Romulus or Fall Guy or If or Harold or Horizon. I did not think it would do that well. That's the type of movie that even if you had clued me into it and told me, hey, pay attention to this one, John, I would have been like, yeah, sure. Blake Lively, it's based on a popular book. All right, 50, 60 million maybe. 136. Before we go, I wanted to talk about some other films that are not in the top 13 that may be worth mentioning for whatever reason. M. Night Shyamalan's Trap, which I thought was unique and interesting, maybe not great. 40 million. Again, another respectable total for a modestly budgeted film. Coraline's re-release, 15th anniversary re-release, got 30 million. That did better than the big epic Western saga from Kevin Costner. Challengers, that was early in the season. I don't even technically think that counts as a summer film, but it released close to summer. I really love that film. One of my favorites of the year. That did a respectable 28 million. The Bike Riders didn't really wow me. Fly Me to the Moon, same thing, didn't really wow me either. But they put up 20 million. I'd like to see those types of movies get made more of and do better. But the fact is, when they are made, people don't really turn out. So I'm not too surprised. Going down the list here, I haven't seen a lot of these. I didn't even know The Phantom Menace got a re-release, but the fact that it beat some of these other films is fascinating to me. People are still, those prequel memes, holding that thing on for dear life. Reagan, a late summer release, somehow put up 10 million. Civil War, that hung in there to earn enough. But I wanted to point out way down, where is it on this list? Borderlands, number 27. I mean, I know this was released later in the year on August 9th, but Borderlands, with such a big video game IP attached to it, you would have thought it would break at least 25 million, right? 15? Oh my gosh, that was an absolute implosion in terms of where I think general expectation was and where it ended up. I didn't expect that to blow up and do hundreds of millions, but 15 is so far below what I thought. The rest of these all turn, and Alien Romulus, I think that was a bit of a surprise. I didn't think that franchise, maybe it's my own personal biases, I'm not the biggest fan of the Alien franchise. I really didn't think it would put up those numbers that late in the year. So color me surprised. Same thing with Garfield. I know I predicted it would get almost exactly this amount of money. I'm still a little bit surprised by that. And I think I said as much in my prediction video. This could do really well, but who knows, who cares about Garfield in 2024? 92 million worth at least, so that's something. It was a great season. I only got to go out to the theater myself 5 or 6 times, but now that most of the movies are available to rent or stream, I am definitely going to make sure I get around to watching them soon. So there's my top 10 in comparison to the actual. I did pretty well. I'm going to take all the. I was fully prepared to eat crow and wipe the egg off my face, but when I get things right, I am equally happy to take a victory lap and gloat like an asshole. So, please let me know your thoughts and comments. Did you make any predictions? How did you do? Of these 16 movies mentioned on screen here, which ones have you seen? Which ones did you love? Which ones did you think should have performed better? And which ones do you think should have performed worse? I'm curious to see which of these you kind of had your money on and which horse you wanted to see win the race. Personally, for me, I'm really satisfied with how the summer turned out. I was gunning hard for Twisters to make the top 4, and I'm so excited that that kind of broke out as a domestic hit. I love Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm excited to see that do so well. It was the booster shot in Marvel's arm it needed so badly. And the rest of these movies, I'm glad that movies like It Ends With Us still has a chance at the box office, and it's not completely dominated by sequels and franchises. So it was nice to see. And stuff like Longlegs, like that movie was fun. I'm glad I went and saw that opening weekend, and I'm really excited that it got 13th place here. 74 million, certainly respectable for a micro-budget horror film with no original IP, no existing IP attached to it. Those are my thoughts. Those are my predictions. I would love to hear yours in the comments below. But for now, for me, that will do it for this video. Thank you, as always, for watching and listening. My name is John, and until next time, have a good movie night.